Good morning, and welcome to today's webcast, Grow Your Winery with Technology. Before we begin, I'm going to play a brief housekeeping video.
Welcome, and thank you for viewing our webcast series. Before we begin, please keep the following in mind. You can customize how you view our presentation and interact with the presenter. For better viewing, close all other applications and turn up your speaker volume. You can adjust window size and placement or enter full screen mode using the controls at the top right of the window or dragging the bottom right-hand corner to resize. At the bottom of your screen, you'll see a series of icons that relate to a different aspect of our session. You can download a PDF of today's slides from the Slide Deck and Handouts widget. You can ask questions by typing in the Q&A window and clicking Submit. We'll do our best to answer all questions or follow up via email. If you experience technical difficulty, refresh your browser by hitting the F5 key. This presentation is not legal, investment, or accounting advice. We encourage you to seek the counsel of a professional service provider to apply this content to your specific circumstances.
I'm pleased to introduce today's presenters from Moss Adams, Michael Parker, partner, and Bill Vyenielo, senior manager. Mike has worked in technology consulting industry for more than 30 years. He leads our strategy, technology, and operations consulting group, where he helps clients through all phases of their digital transformation journey. He works extensively with clients in the food and beverage industry, including wine, beer, and spirits micro vertical. Bill has worked in the wine industry for more than 25 years. He has partnered with winery and vineyard clients, assisting them in successfully navigating the operational and financial challenges of running their business. Bill has provided clients with advice on and insights on winery and vineyard branding strategies and performing assessments of winery operations and vineyards for new investors or in preparation for an acquisition or sale. And with that, I will turn it over to Bill to get us started.
Thank you, Chad. So just a quick overview of today's agenda. We'll talk a little bit about just the wine industry experience and expertise that we have internally within Moss Adams. And then we'll talk about how to align technology with creating business value for your company. Having information that's accessible, that's accurate, so you can make timely decisions. Top areas of importance when you're running a business. And then we'll talk about some of the leading solutions for business insights as you're running your operation. And then also key areas where technology can really support the growth of your business. Just a little bit about Moss Adams. Company's been in business for over 100 years. We have our home office up in Seattle, but I think one of the strengths of Moss Adams is we have teams that are dedicated to serve specific industries, and this is a list of the 30 different industries that we do serve. The highlighted one on the bottom is specifically the wine, beer, and spirits team, which I'm part of, Mike's part of as well. And I think the aspect around this is that we have experience where, like for myself, I've worked within the industry. As some of the people within our team have said, Bill, you've been in the shoes of our clients. You understand the pain points, the needs, the timing, and some of the solutions that may be really helpful when someone's looking for answers and assistance. So specifically about our own wine industry team, we have over 600 wine, beer, and spirits clients. And about a little over 400 of those are actually wine industry clients. And we are predominantly our team is predominantly based in Santa Rosa, Sonoma County, and Napa. But we also have offices up in Oregon, Washington, Texas. So we really cover the footprint of the major wine producing regions in the United States. Here in California, I mean, we have clients throughout the North Coast, so Napa, Sonoma, Lake, Mendocino counties. We cover the Central Coast. We have quite a few clients in the Central Coast, all the way down to Temecula, the southern part of the state, and certainly cover the whole entirety of the Central Valley. And this is just a list of some of the industry associations that we have very close ties with. We do attend conferences and events throughout the year. A lot of our wine industry team, actually last week, was up at the Unified Wine Symposium, where we attended different industry sessions that addressed industry trends and challenges. There were presentations on AI, how to adapt and utilize that in the industry. There were a lot of suppliers and vendors of advances in automation, mechanization, and software that are really helpful to know about. So we have a team itself of 16 high-level professionals within the wine industry team, and all the support staff that goes with that. Just a stat here that says we spent 65,000 hours supporting the wine industry in 2021 for helping our clients. I think the other point I want to make is that internally we have a lot of industry expertise, but the main point of our team is to help our clients, put them in touch with the assistance they need, the expertise they need. Oftentimes that's internal, and other times it's not. So if it's not in our wheelhouse, we have a really deep industry network, and our goal is to just get our clients the help they need when they need it. Now, Chad, we're going to have a polling question. Just want to get a sense for the makeup of our audience today. So maybe, Chad, you want to take this?
Yeah. So in this polling question, we just want to know, in what functionality area of your business do you have your biggest information management challenges? They're A, production and operations, B, accounting and finance, C, sales and customer engagement, or D, people and HR systems. So if you just select your answer on the screen there and hit that little submit button that's below, your answer will be recorded and we can review the results after everyone is submitted. So we'll give you about 15 seconds or so here to answer the question.
So about a third of the way through with our attendees. So production and operations, just think of that as covering all the vineyard activities and the winemaking activities of your operation.
I'll give everyone about 5 more seconds here, and then we'll advance on to the results. All right, let's check out the results.
Okay, so we are evenly divided between production, operations, software, and accounting and finance, with some sales and customer engagement, but nobody's apparently within our audience today really using systems for their on the HR side. But yeah, and that's consistent with what we're seeing now. There's a real strong focus on how to link production and accounting information so we can run more efficiently. So I thought it'd be good and helpful to just run through some of the common challenges that wineries often encounter when they're running their business, especially as it applies to utilizing information and technology. So one of the things we see all the time is using standalone, independent, multiple systems. It can be production, accounting, sales, DTC, wholesale, customer relationship management software, reservation software. So having all these different applications, hopefully they're best of class, but having them so that they are not integrated. There's a lot of work involved in consolidating the data and accessing it across the multiple processes, the multiple channels we sell wine in. And so that's always a challenge to try to get an overall view of how things are going in real time. So, and I added this, one of the most common laments that I hear from our clients is, I wish we really had a strong handle and accurate information when it comes to our cost of goods sold. And So you're not alone if that's an issue that you encounter. It's very, very common. Learning how to account for a wine production process that takes 2, 3, 4 years to make a wine is a lot more challenging than it is if you're making a product that you can make within one fiscal year, within time span. And then there's the aspect of just managing the purchasing. Is your team able to really collaborate together on deciding what to buy when it may come to capital expenditures? Is there a tracking system in place that gives you a sense for where you are in the process of what's been ordered, when's it's supposed to be arriving? That often tails into the supply chain system. During COVID, during the pandemic, we often saw a lot of the chains in the supply chain break. And so it was just a real reminder on how important it is to have a strong handle on the supply chain so that we're ordering barrels, we're ordering glass and packaging materials so that they arrive in time for when they're actually needed. There's the process of coordinating winemaking, work orders, keeping the process moving, working efficiently. Inventory, it's pretty common to have inventory disconnected from sales. So when you're trying to sell product, if you don't know what your real-time inventory availability is in a given location or on a given product, can be really challenging when you're trying to serve your customers and make a sale. Most of us know that our industry has quite a compliance burden in a lot of different aspects. There's TTB, the ABC reporting requirements. There's sales tax. If you're selling out of state, you've got the reporting required across the 50 different countries in this United States. They all have different regulations and reporting requirements, so it's very complex. And given these separate the lack of integration we often see, trying to get just a full real-time picture of how the company's performing across all the channels, across suppliers, different locations, that's always a real challenge. Same goes for understanding your customer engagement. When you have information in different systems, maybe it's DTC information in one system, your wholesale sales system in another, maybe you have depletions information in another system, trying to keep a handle on the velocity of sales, the preferences of customers. It's always a challenge to manage the data. And then there's the data security aspect. So there's protecting financial information. It's very sensitive, keeping employee records protected, as well as customer information, customer records. And we all know the embarrassment and even the potential liability of if there's a data breach. So data security is really, really important issue. And we see headlines in that quite commonly in the news. So having good security is critical today's world. So one of the things I wanted to talk about is oftentimes people might ask about what's the return on investment, and if I buy some software, invest in some technology. And I think we wanted to turn that around and really say, what's the cost of inaction, and how do you gauge the impacts? Because I think a lot of businesses look solely at the cost of buying, for example, a set of software, without really having the time or maybe the know-how to gauge what are the costs, the costly impacts that the lack of having a modern solution is having on the business, and also what's the dollar value of the benefits that they're foregoing that they could enjoy if they had some of the better capabilities that current technology can offer. So I just made a list of some of the costs of inaction. You may have missed revenue opportunities. There could be orders coming in. You don't know what your available inventory is at the specific point in time, and you may not be able to fulfill an order. There's the operational costs. Higher costs mean lower margins. We know that when it comes to downloading information from multiple systems, a lot of this is done manually, oftentimes exported and downloaded into Excel. So then there's the kind of Excel hell aspect of consolidating using VLOOKUPs and HLOOKUPs and index match commands to try to pull information together to see maybe it's sales across multiple channels. And then there's always the introduction of keystroke errors with manual entry. There's a need to double enter information maybe from one system to another. So all that takes time and resources, people, and it's really low value activity. So errors create inaccurate information. The time involved creates stale information, and oftentimes you're missing information. So those types of things lead to poor decision making or limited decision making. They really can curtail your ability to serve your customers better. And when that happens, it's harder to retain them. So just wanted to point out some of the benefits. If you have systems that are integrated or have better bandwidth and capabilities than maybe some latent systems, you can often save a tremendous amount of labor and time. When you have ready access to information, you can make better, faster informed management decisions. And also employees, we've heard from users that have upgraded their systems, is they see a lot better employee engagement when they invest in the systems, because the employees find it's easier to access the information they need to do their job. They also get information back very timely, so they can see the performance of maybe the area they're managing is performing versus plan versus budget. And it just educates the employees more about the area of responsibility that they have, and they just get more engaged in running that part of the business. And then another big benefit is just reduced compliance and regulatory risks. So if you can quickly extract the information, or even have reports that are automatically generated from some of these software applications, maybe it's your monthly TTB report that has to go out on the bulk wine side or the case goods side. Again, saving time means running more efficiently and saving money and having your employees happier at doing the work that they're performing. So I thought I'll turn this over to Mike, talking about building and aligning your technology strategies with your business goals.
Yeah, well, thanks, Bill, and I appreciate it. And I think, as Bill said, I think a lot of this is people look at it from a cost perspective and the spend they're having today, and they look at an incremental cost in taking on a new system or systems, and I don't really look at, you're probably spending the money today. And one of the things we always advocate is align your technology strategy with your business strategy. What are you spending money on? Why are you spending it? What is it driving your business? Software is really all about helping you be a high performing business, drive costs down, better customer alignment, drive revenue, margin. All of those aspects and all of those value statements are really driven from how do you have software aligned with your business? What is the focus of the business? What does the business need? Some of it's cost containment. Some of it's increased sales channels. Some of it's better alignment with customers. Everybody's needs are different. So my first thing is always to make sure that your technology strategy, your plan, your investment, your spend is aligned with the business. What is the business need from software to operate in the way that you want? I mean, Bill talked about a lot of categories, a lot of challenges. Software is a great thing. It can be an accelerant or it can be a hindrance. And you really want to make sure, again, that you're aligned with how does it help you become a better, high-performing business. So, in the goal really now is a lot of our clients that we talk to right now spend vast majority of their time just mundane processes, getting data from your operational, your production teams, your inventory teams, your warehouse teams, back into accounting, to understand cost of goods sold, visibility into your DCC channel, to your distributor channel, to how does that affect how I'm positioning what I'm selling, where I'm selling it, how I'm selling it, all of those areas. You got your core reporting, financial controls, everything that the business needs to just operate. And then what's left over is business insights and analysis, which is really understanding your business. And so everybody, I think the desire states to flip that on its head. I mean, you really want to spend more time being strategic, like understanding your business, making the decisions on, again, what to produce, where to sell it, how to sell it, how to engage with my customers, automating process flows so that I reduce error rates, I get costs down. All of these pieces are really the desired future state. And this is where really software can help you by taking a lot of what you're spending your time on today off your plate and increasing, whether you can get to 50% or not, increasing the amount of time that you look at the business and understand the health of the business and are able to make the right decisions for the business. So, and that, again, the technology strategy really should be about driving value. So what moves the meter, right? When you talk about value and high performing organization, where's your pain points? What does it mean to solve them? What does that mean to your current state and your future state? So really, a lot of times just taking a pause too and understanding what those are and kind of cataloging them. And then the next piece is really to move that into what solutions and what software, whether you own it today or it's net new or you need to replace old with new. How is that going to solve those problems? How is that going to meet the requirements? And I don't mean how I do things today. It is truly the requirements of the business. What can I do better? What can I streamline? What can I automate? What can I, all of those questions are the answers, and there's solutions out there. There's no magic bullet, but there are software that really help enable a lot of these areas, and some of the areas, again, you want to automate key processes. You want to decrease transaction costs. You want to increase efficiency, get rid of manual errors. All the things that Bill talked about are just high profile. But the other side of it too is you want to empower the people in your organization to have the right information at the right time to make timely decisions for your business. If you're always looking in your rearview mirror and you're making decisions 30, 60, 90 days out, you probably have already made the decision and you're just learning in hindsight. So how do you have the KPIs and how do you have the information that's relevant to each role, whether you're a CFO or whether you're a warehouse person or you work on the floor for production, bottling line, whatever, you need to have the right information in real time. And that's one of the most relevant pieces. So the goal, a lot of my clients are this way. You got systems and people are like, well, my spend's only this. Well, I would wager that whether this is an actual system or this is a spreadsheet, an Access database, whatever, people are covering this information in their business. And a lot of it looks like this. It's a spaghetti of different things. It may be 2 or 3 different systems. It may be spreadsheets. It may be an old Access database someone still uses. But the idea is to take it from this to this, and it doesn't mean one system. It means how do I get to a core group of systems that work together and cohesively to give you a single source of truth. I don't know how many of my customers say, well, if I get data from this system, I get X. If I get data from this system, I get Y. I don't know what to trust, or this covers one part of my business, that covers one part of my business. I don't know how to merge them together. There's no way to really get a good picture of the health of my business and the direction of my business. And so really the idea behind having a centralized system that has in a core set of maybe systems is really to make sure that you're able to capture the right information and disseminate the relevant information to the right role. Whether I'm a winemaker or whether I'm a CFO or whether I'm whatever my sales rep, if I'm out talking to my customers or my distributors, what do I put out on my wine club? All of these factors drive into how successful my business is. And software can really help enable that decision-making on a proactive basis, not on a reactive basis.
Mm-hmm. So, hey, Mike, before we jump into this polling question, I was just thinking, a lot of our, wineries, we're focused on selling wine, giving our customers a great experience. and we're using different systems, right? How does someone turn to, say, your IT team, and link these systems so they can work cohesively? What's that?
Yeah.
Maybe touch on that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it starts from understanding what do you need and where you're at. And I don't think everybody, no one starts at the same exact place. Again, some of it is, do you have the right systems in place now? Some people do, and they just need to use them better or maybe tie in a certain aspect. Some people are operating off of, 2 or 3 or 4 systems, or they've got manual processes in one segment of the business, and they really need to look at a wholesale move forward. If you don't know your requirements and you can't really catalog what's going to move the meter for you, then you don't really have a good plan and strategy for how the future state of software can help you in your business. And that's the goal, is really to map that out and really understand how you get there too, because not everybody can move from where they're at today to their desired state in one kind of fell swoop. So really you want to take a step back and look at, what is my system? What does my company need? What do my systems do? What don't they do? How, and what do I need? What's my future state need to look like? And then how do I get there? And there's a pretty straightforward plan, but everybody starts at a different point in that process.
Okay. So basically reaching out and asking for help.
Yeah.
Our IT team does that.
This is a lot of where I spend my day, is helping clients really put that together and really understanding what systems. I have a lot of clients that have bought systems, paid a lot of money, that weren't the right fit. Or they bought 3 or 4 systems that do different things that don't talk to each other. So now it creates a whole new set of problems, and don't really fit what the business need is. And again, tying it back to the business strategy, business plan of, if I'm hitting the accelerator on new markets, or if I'm hitting on DTC or through my tasting rooms or whatever, how do I align with that? And that's, we see so many clients get fragmented because they take a very siloed approach in how they look at technology, how they implement technology, and how they use technology. And it becomes, I've got all this spend, it's just not cohesive. And that's one of the biggest challenges we have, is it just doesn't all work together and to help make you a more high performing business.
Okay. So basically helping define the requirements and writing integrations between systems.
Well, even integrations, or maybe it's a net new system. Maybe you can replace 3 or 4 systems with one and really get that cohesive. Integrations are great, but they also, create some management needs. So understanding, again, what works for your business. It may be integrations. It may be, getting rid of these 3 or 4 systems and putting it into one common system that all the data all resides together and the reporting comes out of one source of truth. It could be any of those. And really, to your point, Bill, it's really reaching out and what's my pain points? What help do I need to get from where I'm at to where I want to be? And that's ultimately the biggest sources. I see people try to do this on their own, and it ends up with a very fragmented technology roadmap, plan, strategy, systems. And I've got literally clients that have people log on to one system, do this task, log into another system and do another task. And there's plenty of systems in the world that could automate that whole process and just get rid of manual steps, make the user experience a lot better, make the data that you have in your systems far, far better and far more useful. So those are really key points. All right. So we got our second polling question. So Chad, I'll let you take it and run with it.
All righty. Thanks, Mike. We have another polling question for you. It's, what software do you use in your winery business for accounting? Either A, QuickBooks, B, AMS, C, NetSuite, D, Microsoft Business Central, or E, other. If you just select the answer and hit the submit button, your polling question will be recorded. We can look at everyone's results. We'll give you about 15 seconds here to answer this polling question.
So we've got about half of our attendees have answered so far.
All right, about 5 more seconds here. Submit your answers. All righty, let's check out the results.
Oops.
Oh,
there we go. All right, not surprising. QuickBooks is number one. That's I think that's common. I think we do see a lot of, again, people that have started with QuickBooks, that it's easy, everybody knows it. And I think as companies grow and mature, QuickBooks is easy and simple for a reason, right? But I think it also isn't a full ERP. As I talked about, pulling all of this data together, we see people grow out of that. It is interesting to see some of the others. We do see, I kind of expected a little more of AMS and NetSuite. People I talk to, just a little more common than that we're getting here. But I think this isn't uncommon. You see a lot of different people and a lot of different systems. So it's just kind of an interesting mix. So now I want to shift gears. And again, we're not talking today about a particular type of system. So I want to talk about the different types of systems. First and foremost is what's called an ERP, or enterprise resource planning. We talked about QuickBooks as the accounting piece, but QuickBooks is just that. It's accounting, right? The core of an ERP is to bring your operational information, your sales and marketing information in together with your accounting, and be able to do things like purchasing and purchasing into inventory management, into demand planning, into supply planning, into real-time cost of goods sold. Looking at it from, again, how does sales flow into accounting? How does sales visibility flow into, the planning from a product perspective? So all of that's the beauty of an ERP is really, as we kind of focused on that wheel in a few slides back. It's really, that's the core of what an ERP does for you, is it brings all of that together into a single system that allows you to not have all these integrations, have these disparate systems, disparate interfaces and user experiences, and allow you to really do everything under one umbrella. So definitely probably the number one area we see. Analytics and dashboards. Again, so many of my clients have static reports that are rear view mirror looking. They get a month in report, or a periodic report on different aspects of the business. Analytics and dashboards can give you real-time access, and they should be role-based. Again, if I'm in accounting, I should want to know the health of my business from a financial perspective. If I'm a purchasing manager, I should know my orders. I should know where my inventory levels sit, my turns, everything like that. Process automation is just, how do I get rid of the manual steps and manual activity in there? So if I'm doing something over and over and over again manually, software can help you get rid of it. And then the future, forward-looking planning, forecasting. Again, everybody wants to keep, their raw goods inventory at the right level to support production or packaging or fulfillment, or and how do you do that? How do you have the visibility? How do you know what you're going to sell, right? How do you predict what you're going to sell? All of that goes into making better, more timely decisions into how do I execute on my business on a day in, day out basis. And then, as Bill said early, we're seeing a lot more artificial intelligence and machine learning. So Obviously, right now, generative AI has everybody's attention. I think there are definitively ways to use generative AI. I think machine learning is probably a more applicable in a lot of what we do in a lot of the worlds of my clients is how do I get smarter about, again, what do I order, when do I order, how do I order, what do I plan for, all those pieces above. Machine learning is a type of artificial intelligence, and it really helps you be more educated in the actions and activities that you take on within the business. And that's across all aspects of your business. Again, sales, marketing, accounting, production, packaging, quality, you name it. And it's very relevant in that area. So I want to just kind of focus on a few areas that I talked about here. Definitely not an all-inclusive list. I mean, we got a limited amount of time, so I kind of picked a few that I felt were kind of most pertinent. But the one here to me that is the most important is reporting and visibility. So many of my clients are on systems that don't give them the end-to-end view and don't let them easily access information. Again, and it's not relevant to the user. Again, if I'm a CFO, can I log in and see all the financial metrics of my business? If I'm a production manager, can I log in and see, where my wine is, what's in my tanks, what's in my barrels, what's been bottled, what's sitting in the warehouse? All of these pieces, you want to make sure that, again, you've got the right information to the right person at the right time. And so many of our clients don't have that. And that is, to me, one of the most integral components of what adds value and really drives value into a business, and what systems can help really alleviate within the business. The next area is everybody wants to do things, better, faster, especially now. I'm getting, economic environments, mixed, I will call it. How do I save? How do I drive out costs? And it's not about decreasing my headcount. It's how do I not have to hire the next 1, 2, 3 people? How do I do more with my teams? How do I get my teams focused on the things that really drive my business, not keystroking in accounting, journal entries and purchase orders. And those are the things that have to get done in a business. They don't really drive the value. So if you can have a system that takes a lot of that, mundane, transactions, activity. Again, if I'm trying to get COGS information into my accounting and I have to do that manually, and I have to get information from my operations people into my accounting department, that's time, that's effort, that's activity that doesn't need to be there at the end of the day. So by automating processes, you can decrease transaction costs. You can have faster process time, whether that's from order to fulfillment. Again, getting inventory and cost of goods sold information into accounting. There's 100 use cases about how that information can flow, how you can take the manual steps out of your environment and let technology really do that for you. If you set it up one time, the system should be able to handle that. And then it can kick out exceptions and you can manage by exceptions, but you're not having to work through, 20, 30, 100 of the same type of thing. Well, again, whether that's invoices, purchase orders, sales orders, whatever, again, drives that meter up in your business. And so a little bit of Bill's slide, sorry here. So I think, the other thing here, it's just, I talked about a lot of this. Another one that I think people underestimate is the error and rework rate. I mean, if I'm entering something in one system and I've got to now go enter it in, how much time does that take? How accurate is it? People make mistakes. They miss data, they miss information. That creates not just time of the entry, but Now I've got to reach back out to that person. I've got to understand their data. I've got to understand why something doesn't tie. I've got to understand, I hear from a client, I hear from a customer that something didn't ship, or, the wrong thing shipped, or whatever. There's a lot of use cases here, but I think it allows the business to really run more efficiently and drives costs down. I mean, I know we all want lower costs in our business, and I think that's a key piece. The other piece is really, again, about automation. And this has two aspects to it. One is role definition. Who's doing what and why? I've got a client right now that their accounts payable department's buried. Well, their process flow is their accounts payable person touches every invoice. Why? So instead of setting up rules that the system can then follow, take that out, right? Now I free up X amount of time of that person. I also have controls in my business. I don't have one person, this is a kind of a little extreme example, but I have had this in QuickBooks. You can go in, enter a journal entry, approve a journal entry, change a journal entry, do whatever you want to do, right? That's a risk for the business. That is a risk for how I run my financial processes, how I track my financial metrics. And so being able to have role definition, role security, the automation of the process flow is a key piece on many fronts, from a cost, from a risk perspective. And it really is something that, especially for many of my QuickBooks clients, they don't have. And as they get up to be a bigger, more mature business, it's more of an issue. And so definitely something I see software, it's a low-hanging fruit for software. Improved user experience. Again, I have so many of my clients that have different solutions that don't get used. They're hard to use. They're hard to navigate. They don't, if I'm out on the bottling line, I can't turn around and log into a laptop and do activities. How do I make it easy? How do I make it visual? How do I have a better user experience? And that leads to adoption. And adoption gets more data in the system more accurately, more timely, and it eliminates or minimizes anyway, workarounds, sidebar, sets of information, things that, again, now I'm creating more activity, more steps, more risk, more errors. If I can make it easy to use for each person and each role, now I've driven better usage of the system, better data in there that I can, again, leverage across my business. So making it easy for people to interact with the software is, to me, an understated aspect of what people struggle with. The last one is, again, kind of a similar anytime, anywhere access. I mean, being able to do it on your phone, on a tablet, it's key. I mean, there's so many systems I see that are very back office oriented, right? If you're sitting behind a desk, it's easy. What about your salespeople that are out talking to your distributors, or out, in your tasting rooms, that looking at, data? Again, you're talking about, your production, your quality people that may not necessarily have a laptop right in front of them, or may not have one on a regular basis. How do I support and make it easy for them to use the system to, create their transactions, have the insight at their fingertips? And I think this is another area, and a lot of these are all tied together, but I think there are individual nuances of what makes technology a successful accelerant in the business, or can make it a hindrance in the business. And so many of my clients don't have this, they have old technology, or they have disparate technology that doesn't work together, that creates the inefficiencies and the errors and the costs and everything inside the business. So now to our next polling question. So Jed, I'll have you take it from here.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike. We have our third polling question here. We want to know what software does your winery business use to track your wine production activities? A, Winemaker's Database, B, Intivent, C, VinTrace, D, Excel, or E, Other. And if you have another, please feel free to answer or submit it in the Q&A window. We'd love to know. And if you just select your answer and hit the submit button, your polling question will be recorded. Give you about 15 seconds or so here. All right, we're just over half here, so we'll give you about another 5 seconds. Either answer the polling question or submit your software that you use in the Q&A. All right, let's check out those results.
All right.
So interesting.
Yeah.
Winemaker's Database has been around a long time, as has Excel. It's very common for winemaking teams to be using Excel as their primary record source, record keeper. But again, it's a static system. It makes it tough to look things up. It makes it difficult for a team to look things up without tracking down going to the logbook or the Excel book, the binder that it's in. So Winemaker's Database has been, what we're seeing is being surpassed now by some of the newer predominant entrants. Innovent obviously has been coming on the scene, and they're doing a good job. VinTrace has been around for over, I think, 15 years now. But it's still very common for a winery production teams to be making extreme use of Excel, but we're seeing a lot more interest now in moving away from Excel and investigating some of these other softwares like Innovent.
No, absolutely, and we work very closely with Innovent and VinTrace. A lot of people use it, like Bill said. I think we're starting to see more and more clients, kind of move off of either Winemaker's Database or just, to me, Excel means manual.
Exactly.
And really getting into how to, again, it's everything we just talked about, which is, getting the right data, being able to get that data back into a core system, to be able to leverage that data, to understand that data. Excel isn't kind of built for that, right? It's a great tool, but it's just, it keeps it very disparate, and also creates that, lack of visibility. It creates that duplicity and having to get that information from my production area into my accounting, into my sales, into all the other aspects of the business that could literally leverage within that information. So I think that's a key. This is a testament to what we just talked about. Is I think people are at many different starting points, but it's a lot of it's just a very manual, disparate set of systems, processes, structures that we go through.
Mm-hmm. And I think, Mike, the other thing I want to just add there, when you have Excel, it's a static document, right? You've got a binder, sheet after sheet to look at. Whereas, for instance, Innovent, we've actually written an application interface with that software now, between that and NetSuite. But with these systems, what you have is an archive, a repository that you can look up whenever you want to, and you can build successive information for successive vintages. And so it's becomes a repository that the winemaking team, marketing team, management team can go back and learn from. You're building a base of information that you can learn from. When did we pick? What yeast did we use? I mean, all the transactional type of work, the production transactions that you're deploying when you're making wine over the course of each vintage, by vineyard, by variety, it's live. You can look it up on the cloud with through your system.
Yeah.
So
And
it's
I think
extremely valuable.
another area that I see, obviously there's new products, new brands, that come on. And as Bill said, I mean, wine is not a fast production product, right? Is where are your buyers going? You see in the news a lot with, the lower alcohol, lower sugar. Is that something that fits your brand? Is that what's trending with your client base? Where do you say you want to get in front of that? Really hard to do that with Excel. I mean, you don't know what you're selling. It doesn't look forward into your production. You can't look backwards in some of the ways Bill just talked about. There's so many just gaps, and there is software out there that fixes this, and so it's an easy remedy.
Yeah, makes it easier to track your costs. Makes it easier to learn how to improve your winemaking going forward.
Yeah. So and just in kind of wrapping up, I want to make sure we do have some Q&A time. Kind of a re-summary of what we've talked about. I mean, really, I'll focus now on kind of the ERP systems, because a lot of the ERP systems have either, they're reporting business intelligence. Some of the good ones really have it built in now. You don't have to have separate, business intelligence software and tools and things like that. So, but it really kind of focuses on some of the areas that we talked about is, information, transactional processing, time, costs, quality. We talked about business agility. Again, being able to know forward, what do I need to produce? What raw goods do I need to buy? When I need to buy them, so I have the right inventory on hand. So I'm not holding too much, but I'm not also delaying things. Again, my tie between my sales and my production and my accounting and all that working together to make the right decisions for the kind of the future state of the business. And that, the cross process visibility is part of that, and interoperability. Again, I have, what do you make off of a certain, packaging, or are you making more off of this vintage or this brand, or that, understanding again the health of the business and maybe where to do more or where to do less is key to the overall success of the business. Process and transaction timing, again, just getting information in the right place. I mean, Bill talked about COGS. If you're doing this on Excel, now all that data has got to get rolled up and moved into accounting. When does that happen? How does that happen? I mean, and all the hours that go into that are costs that people don't catalog. So when they talk about system costs, you're spending the time and probably not even getting the result that you want. It's just getting the basics done, but the costs are there. We talked about error and rework rate. People are human, right? And if you transfer information from one source to the other manually, there are errors, there's rework, there's time cost and associated with that. So all of these are just areas that, quite honestly, I see clients struggle with. And a lot of it is due to either inadequate or old technology. The biggest impediment I hear is investing the cost into where's my future state? Where can I be? I pulled this from, again, we do have a NetSuite practice as one of the practices I lead. So I did pull this in specific to them, but I think it highlights whatever technology you use. I think there are common categories, right? I mean, the biggest one to me is, headcount. Like, I don't have to have people spend time on this. It doesn't, none of us want to decrease our headcount, I don't think, or most of us don't. But if I can decrease the hire, if I can not make that one extra hire or two extra hires, that's a hard cost to the business. Same thing in IT. If I can decrease my IT spend and get the product solutions, most of the cloud-based solutions we have today don't require nearly the IT structure spend that a lot of the older systems have. And then just increases in productivity. I mean, carrying better inventory levels, time to close the books. I mean, this DSO, I'm tracking better my invoices, who owes me money, when did they pay me, how they paid me. From a customer perspective, I'm better engaged from my customer. I have better response time or better fulfillment time. I have all of the things that, again, everybody wants happy customers that order more wine. And that's software can help with that. And I think, and these are just samples. Everybody's different. We do help some of our clients understand what this means, what this can be for them. But I do think it's different for everybody. I would take these as sample, but I thought they were very illustrative into what people can achieve and what the value areas that people can focus on. This is not inclusive, but hopefully it is. Gives you some food for thought of some of the areas that I don't think necessarily everyone thinks about when they think about systems.
Mm-hmm. And this gets back to what I was talking about early on, and just how to weigh the value of the benefits you can gain. And these are just some real life examples from one system. Like Mike said, they may not all apply to your business, but there may be others that do. If customers expect and want to know where they are in the process with shipment to their home, is it in transit? When's it going to arrive at their doorstep? If they want to make a change to a delivery point, do you have the ability to do that? If you have some of these capabilities, it gives you your business a real competitive advantage.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, that's all we had for today. We'll definitely take questions. There is a Q&A box, so definitely feel free to type questions in, and Bill and I will gladly answer anything and everything we can in the few minutes we've got left. But want to make this interactive, want to, really, again, engage with you. I mean, even if it's afterwards, gladly follow up with everybody on this call, have a one-on-one, because I do think, again, this is a very individualized conversation. Hopefully this gives you food for thought. And that was the intent, was to not be prescriptive about you need to do X, Y, Z, because I can point to so many different aspects of our clients that have different starting points, have different desired finish points, and quite honestly have different capacities for change to get there. And all of that factors into your technology journey, your digital transformation is the hot word now. But how do I get systems to help me run my business and how be a better business? All right. Let's see if we have any questions. We don't have any questions now submitted in so far. So, if I would say if people have questions, please type it in. All right. Got first question in. It says, do you see winery clients use NetSuite for their e-commerce platform? If so, does it have a wine club management capabilities? I would say a few, but I would say I see NetSuite really as the core ERP more than I do for the DTC e-commerce side. They do have an e-commerce platform. I don't believe it is a great fit for most of my wine clients' direct-to-consumer processes. There are other good ones. There's Commerce 7 comes to mind right out of the gate that all, again, integrate. I do think one of the strengths of NetSuite is it has a great integration platform that can easily get data in and out. But this is a case where, yes, they do have the capability. Is it the best fit for this industry? Probably not, but I can't say it without knowing a little more specifics. But again, one of the products that I will see in the Commerce 7, or again, Moss Adams does have an add-on to NetSuite in the wine industry, is around wine club management. So there are industry-specific solutions that, again, NetSuite integrates with very well, that allows you to solve that problem and adhere to everything we just talked about today.
Yeah. And a lot of wineries are using DTC software that they already are very familiar with and have invested in, and being able to write an integration with NetSuite is right up Mike's alley. So whether it's Wine Direct or Commerce 7 or Figure or other
Shopify,
Salesforce.
we see Shopify, we see BigCommerce, WooCommerce. There's a lot of them. But I would say I'm also a believer of, if you have a system and it is working, you may not, I will always want to assess whether you want to replace it or not. Particularly if it's a visible system like an e-commerce system. If it works, you can always push the data into your core accounting ERP system. All right. Well, I think this brings us at time. I appreciate everyone's time today. Bill and I's contact information is on the screen. We'd love to start a conversation with every person on the call. We will reach out afterwards, just connect. And again, love to help clients get more out of their software investment. That's our purpose. So we thank you for your time today, and just really appreciate everyone's attendance.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah.
Chad, is it closing?
Yep. Thank you, Mike and Bill, for a great presentation today. Like I said, if we didn't have time to answer any questions, we'll do our best to follow up with you after the webcast. And here's a link to an online survey where you can provide feedback for today's presentation. Please take a moment to complete this, as your feedback is very important to us. Thank you for joining us, and we'll hope you join us again next time.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.